and welcome to the What to Read Next podcast. In this podcast, your host, Gloria Me, will invite a bookish guest to share their favorite book recommendation. If you share a passion for books and always looking for your next read, then join us. Welcome to the What to Read Next podcast. Today, I want to share a bonus episode that's perfect for staying at home. In this episode, we have Taj from Readaholic19 Instagram and blog account come and chat how she's doing while she's staying at home. We will chat books, movies, TV shows, and how we're spending our time at home. Welcome, Taj.
Hi, Laura. Thank you for having me again. It's always such a fun time coming on here with you.
I'm so excited to have you come on board and talk about staying at home. So how are you doing? How are you feeling?
It's hard to put into words how I'm feeling. I know that we've, chatted before, but at times I get used to the new normal, and then other times I'll freak out when I think of life like this for however longer it's going to be. I took my kids for a bike ride yesterday, and we were maintaining social distancing, but you can see like the park is all closed and there's caution tape everywhere. Little things like that will really get me. So I'll be fine. And then you go to a grocery store and you see, the cough guards or sneeze guards, and everybody's being so careful, and you can't bring your grocery bags from home anymore because of contamination or whatever, So it's hard. And I think a lot of us are going through this. You'll feel fine one minute, and then the next minute you're back to anxiety and freaking out. What about you? How are you doing?
So I'm doing better. I had a moment of shock because this happened suddenly. Like, even though we heard about it, there was one moment we were fine, and the next moment it was a completely different world. And so I experienced grief around that, and grief around like the loss of like events, the loss of things, the loss of people, the loss of like, what it was supposed to be a magical time. It became kind of like staying at home, not so magical. And so it would be interesting to know, like, I suffer from PTSD for other reasons, but I know that I'm going to suffer from PTSD because of this. Like, this is actually going to be a triggering. And so it's interesting to know, like, I did not realize, I had anxiety. That's my diagnosis. And so I lived with it for 48 years, like totally fine. And then this happened, and my anxiety went off the roof, So it's been interesting. I think for me, what I realized is that I had to take care of myself and try to create boundaries and do self-care and connect with people and just stay connected. I think that's been the biggest gift from this experience.
And I agree with you, especially we don't realize the loss that we lose from just going anywhere and just interacting with people, whether it's the cashier at the grocery store or whether it's somebody at a restaurant you're just having to bump into. Just little things. We crave that human connection. And when we don't have it, it is a loss, and I can totally imagine how somebody with PTSD or any form of mental, whatever, depression or anxiety or whatever it might be that they're going through, how this can be hard on you, So if you need a minute to take a break and just breathe, like, do it. You know what I mean? Like, unplug for however long you need to. And if you need the opposite and you need to interact with people or whoever you have as your friends or your family that you can talk to. It's very important right now to do what's best for you.
Yeah, I think that's it's just a process. I think we just can only take it a day at a time, and some just a minute at a time.
Yes.
So
sometimes it's minute by minute, not even day by day, because in the minute of things, you just go from being fine to just, I'm going to lay here in my bed with my covers over my head because I just can't process this right now. I was there yesterday. I did that yesterday afternoon. I just couldn't, I just had to take a little break, and that's okay. You have to give yourself a break sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah. So it is what it is. I think we're just experiencing the normal. Things are never going to go back to the way they were before. And maybe it's just acceptance that things are going to change, and they're changing every day. So
that's correct.
So let's chat about your day-to-day. What does it look like now?
Okay. So I took some time off of work. Actually, this has been my first week off of work. So before this, I was, of course, getting ready, going to work. But I was also helping homeschool my daughter. She's in second grade, and this is new territory for us because I didn't go to school to be a teacher, and so it's hard having to homeschool these kids because you have to have a lesson plan. You have to have break it down for them what they're going to do all day because they're not in their school environment anymore. And it's hard to focus when you're at home doing school work, So typically, I would have everybody eats breakfast, and then she has a meeting with her teacher on Zoom every day.
Mm-hmm.
So we log into that and they talk about whatever it is. It's only about an hour, So they talk about whatever they're doing and then what she expects them to do for the day. And so before, my husband was helping her because he was at home, but I'll take over now because it's been hard. But yeah, so we break up our work through the day. We take a lot of breaks. I'll try to get them outside. Either we ride bikes in the front yard or we play in the backyard. And then now that I'm home, I have been having more time to read books. So that's been nice. Or I listen to audiobooks while I'm, doing little things around the house. But that's our typical day, is really helping. It's both me and my husband, him trying to work, me trying to help the kids do their work and stay occupied. So, in essence, we don't drive ourselves crazy. That's our day to day. So, yeah.
I think it's just a new normal, just staying at home, and homeschooling is like a whole different ball game. You just
Yes.
roll with the punches. There's nothing you can do other than just try to do your best and just move forward.
Yes. Yes. We try to do our best, and it's hard, because a lot of stuff, she's in second grade, so it's not as difficult, I think, for some parents who are having to homeschool older kids. But it's still hard to get them to focus. And I have to try to remember that this is new for them too, and they are also stressed just like us. Yeah. So I do try to cut her a break and let them take more breaks, to go do whatever it is that, she wants to. If she wants to color, or if she wants to paint or draw or go outside, we do try to take more breaks.
Yeah, I think it's just hard. I think for a kid, it's just hard to comprehend, life, you're not seeing your friends, you're not having play dates,
Mm-hmm.
you're just you're home, you can play all you want or study all you want, but you're not, your routine is off. When you thought it's normal, it's no longer normal. It's no longer acceptable.
Yes.
So I think it's really hard.
Yes, it is hard.
So, all right. So now that we're spending our time at home, have you watched any TV shows or movies?
Yeah, we just watched Tiger King, and I think that was because of you. I had posted stuff about it, and I was like, what is this Tiger King? We have to watch it. And so I got my husband to put it on, and we ended up binging it. I mean, we watched it probably in 2 days because we would have to watch it in the evening when the kids are in bed. But it's so funny. I mean, not funny. Well, kind of funny and bizarre. I don't know how else to describe it. But that was probably the last one that we watched. We watched Cheer a while ago. But Tiger King was the most recent one that we had watched.
So what did you think about Tiger King? You said it was bizarre, it was entertaining. What was the most crazy thing about the show?
Oh, one of my girlfriends is, she's like, everybody's talking about Tiger King. What is it about? And I'm like, I don't even know where to start. It was very entertaining, but also very strange, I guess. These big animal cat people are very unique. They have their own quirks about them. I don't think any of them were purposely mean to the cats. You know what I mean? I think they do love them, but they're just all kind of a little bit vindictive.
Yeah.
Towards the people they hire and the people that are in their community. I wouldn't say any one of them was a good person.
Yeah.
That's what I got out of it.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
God bless Target Kid. God bless the 2020, a year that I want to cancel. We're staying at home, and Netflix brings us this gem of a show to watch while we're staying at home. You know?
I know. At least they gave us Tiger King. That's the good thing.
Yes. So
Yeah.
no.
It was very entertaining. Like we couldn't stop talking about it, you know, and every once in a while me and my husband would be like, "Hey, cool cats and kittens, how you doing?" You know, we just like say stuff. We'll just randomly like utter phrases from the show to each other, and the memes are so hilarious. I love them. We just crack up all the time, you know. So it's in that sense, it's kind of funny that it gives you something to laugh and talk about, you know. But yeah, it was very unique.
I love it. So have you been
Yeah,
reading? So have you been
I
reading?
have.
Okay.
I have. I hadn't been when, you know, the whole COVID stuff started coming out. I was too stressed because I was working still, trying to homeschool and just everything together. I just could not focus on anything. Like I could not read a book if my life depended on it. But lately I have been reading quite a few books. I finished a book over the weekend, which hasn't happened in a really long time. But I feel like now that I've been home, I do have a little bit more time to read. And so I will read a couple chapters, you know, in the afternoon if my kids are reading a book or if it's like their quiet time. And I do read at night before bed again, you know. So I have been reading. What about you? Have you been reading or not so much?
It's on and off. Like there are times where I've been reading for that I can spend a weekend and read. So I've had those
Yeah.
moments, but it's like it's been there are days or it's off that I cannot read, that I don't have the attention
Yeah.
span to read. So it's like it's interesting. This weekend I
Yeah.
read a couple great books, which was really good. And then I'm like this week I'm like, yeah, like 10 minutes. I read every day, but it's like
Mhm.
not consistently to the level that I used to
Yeah.
be reading. So
Yeah. And I think we're all there. You
yeah,
know,
I
I think
think
we're
so.
all there. Sometimes, yes, we will, and other times we can't. You just can't focus, or you're just not in the mood to read, you know. And I told you I've been there. Like pretty much the whole half of last month was like that for me. You know, I would read very rarely here and there, and then sometimes I would read a book really quickly. You know, so it just depends on how you're feeling.
Yeah. So what books did you finish this weekend?
So I this weekend I like binge read all like pretty much in a day. I read You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel.
Yeah.
I had it on NetGalley and I've had it for a while. So it was in my like, you know, older than
Me
3 months
too.
section and
It's my
I
oldest.
was like, okay, yeah,
That's my
I have a
oldest.
few in that section.
Yeah, that's my oldest book. So,
Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this a try, you know. And if I haven't read a book, I try not to read reviews about it because I don't want it to
mm,
persuade me, right? And so I had seen people reviewing it on Instagram and like, you know, they'll say book review, you know, this is a mixed review from you or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I don't know like what to expect, but I'm gonna go in, right?
mhm,
And this book just had me hooked from the beginning. I mean, the writing by Sarah Hogel is beautiful. Like, I don't know how
mhm,
else to describe it, but it reminded me a lot of Christina Lauren, or even Sally Thorne, the way the writing is. And it just really deeply touched me. Like, I was laughing, I was crying, it was angsty, it was sweet, it was romantic, it was heartfelt. It was all of those things. Like it's easily one of my favorite reads this year. So that is one that I read, like binge read this weekend. And it was so wonderful, Laura, because when I was reading it, I felt like the world disappeared. And that hasn't happened to me in a long time while reading a book, you know? And so I was fully immersed in this book and I really, really, really enjoyed it. So I'd highly recommend that one. I also finished Yours to Keep by Lauren Lane.
yep.
Um, that's the second book in her. I think it's Man of the Year. I think that's
Yeah,
what
I
the
think so.
series is titled. I can't. Yeah, I can't recall now, but it's the second book, and I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. The first one was good too, but this one is just it was like, you know, classic Lauren Lane with the witty banter, really funny. I liked that one a lot. And then I also got an advanced listening copy of Secret for a Secret by Helena Hunting. And that I listened to, on audiobook. And that one was just what I needed. I mean, Helena Hunting, she will always crack me up with her books with their perfect amount of funny and steamy. And so that one was great. I mean, I was listening to it while I was working, and I'm just sitting there like cackling to myself because it's so funny. Parts of it are so funny. So I had to be like, you know, professional trying to work, but also laughing my butt off because it was really good. So those are the few books that I have read lately that I really enjoyed.
I love it. And you've been listening to audiobooks. So what audiobooks have you been listening to?
Yes, I have been listening to a lot of audiobooks because although I can't sit there and physically read, or I hadn't been able to read, my job was really nice that I can listen to audiobooks while I was working. And so I was listening to a lot of audiobooks. I was doing a lot of rereads, but listening to them on audiobook for the first time. So I listened to like favorites, you know, like Handle with Care by Helena Hunting. And then I listened to Hello Stranger by Lisa Kleypas, which I hadn't reread in a long time, probably over a year since I first read it. And that book was wonderful on audio. And then I also took your advice and listened to Him and Us by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. And those were so good on audiobook. So I really liked listening to those books. And then I listened to a couple other ones. I can't remember now what they were, but right now I'm listening to, is it Hot Shot Doc? Is that what it's called, by R.S. Gray?
Oh, yeah, Hot Shot Doc. I think I read it.
I think it's Hot Shot Doc or Hot Doc or one of those. I just picked it because it's on Kindle Audible Escape. And so I've been listening to, because that one I have the membership of that one. And so I just put it on and I'm really liking it. I just started yesterday, I think, probably after we talked or whatever, but that one's really good too. Have you listened to that one?
I read that book years ago. So R.S. Gray.
Years ago? Yeah.
I talked to another author. We talked about R.S. Gray, and she's like perfect for fluff rom-coms, like easy, like no major angsty, you know, like easy to read. They're like there's
no like crazy plot twists.
There's no plot, there's no baggage. There's no like
exactly
like surprise, you know.
No, exactly.
So I think that's like a perfect quarantine, you know?
Yes, perfect quarantine. And I needed something to listen to, like while I'm doing, you know, like the dishes or doing laundry. And so I was like, and I didn't really have anything queued up. And this was one of the ones that I had queued like a while ago. I just hadn't downloaded or listened to it yet. So I was like, okay, this is the one I'm going with. So, and I'm glad because it's keeping me very entertained. So I do like it. I'm enjoying that one.
I love it. Yeah, I'm listening to Nothing to See by Kevin Wilson, which is literary fiction. I consider it women's fiction, you know, but he's a man, so literary fiction. And it's surprisingly really good. So the story is this lady is asked to be a nanny for these two kids, these twins, who, when they get angry, they bust in flames. They turn to fire. And so they're like trying to figure out like how to chill with them, like, you know, turn off the sprinkler. It's like, don't give them the library. All those different things. But it's really sweet. It's a really cute little book. It's actually 6 hours long.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I was like, oh, this is interesting. So
a little bit of supernatural. I like that.
Yeah.
It's different.
So it's just like funny. Like they get angry and they just bust on a fire. So
like most of us wish we could, right?
So
that's awesome.
I'm like halfway through. I'm just listening when I cook, because I don't have a commute, so I can't, you know, when I cook, when I clean, you know, like the specific thing. So it's a 6 hour long audiobooks and script, so it's easy. So Yeah.
No, it's good. It makes whatever chore you're doing or whatever you're doing go by so much faster, you know? I hate doing the dishes, but then when I have an audiobook with me, I'm like, okay, it's fine. You know, I can do
Yeah.
this. It's okay.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, well, I can do this, you know, like,
I
I'll
can
listen
do
to
this.
audiobook. Oh, just got through the day.
Cleaning the bathroom isn't so bad if I have an audiobook to listen to.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So what has been the most surprising thing that you've done during this time at home?
Just like we talked before, homeschooling. Because it's hard, you know, it's so hard. Props to all those teachers, you know, all you teachers out there. I think parents see you now more than ever before. You know, this is hard work.
Mhm.
I before this had COVID whatever started, I did used to volunteer in my daughter's classroom like once or twice a month. And even when I volunteered, I was like, man, this is hard. Like these teachers do it day in and day out. And I would do it for an hour and I'd be like, okay, like I'm going to go now, you know? But now that you have to do it day in and day out for your kid, I mean, it's hard, you know? And kids don't ever listen to their parents the way they listen to their teachers. So homeschooling has definitely been one of the most surprising things that I've done so far. But once again, like I just, you know, my stay at home has just started, so there's still time to maybe bake some sourdough bread or do some unique things that I see a lot of these people, you know, doing. But yeah, I guess that's been the most surprising and hardest thing that I've had to do. What about you?
I think, to be honest, I think what it's to realize is that so much of my anxiety was present in the moment and then trying to manage it. And
Mm-hmm.
so like what I used to cope with it is different. And so like I used to work out and go for group fitness classes and just find my books and all those different things. And right now, like things are different. Like, yeah, I cook at home. I haven't worked out in a while. It's just difficult just to work out at home. Like, I really don't
It
like it.
is.
So I'm like
Yeah,
doing
it
it.
it is. It's very hard to work out at home. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. So it's just like
Yeah.
different. And there's stuff like, the books are helpful, but it takes a while to get into the book. So, so it's
Mhm.
like, and
Mhm.
understanding that there are days I don't have the bandwidth to do a lot of things, and there are days that I do
Mhm.
that I'm
Yeah.
overproductive. And so it's not a it's not a competition, it's not a challenge, it's not an expectation. I think the biggest surprise is like I think it's I had the expectation that I should have like a hobby or like a new skill or a new thing, and like I should know it all, and just to spend all this time learning about it and launching a business and all those different things. And the reality is I'm not doing any of that stuff, and I'm fine. I'm fine just
Yes.
doing the bare minimum because
Yes.
that's what
And
I
that's
can actually do.
yeah, and I'm sure you've seen, you know, a lot of memes or whatever, but we're in a crisis. You
Yeah.
know, this is not something that we chose to do. We didn't choose to, you know, quit work and be at home so that we can start whatever it is, crafty, non-crafty, business, not business. You know what I mean? Like we have to take care of ourselves. We have to be kind to ourselves and let ourselves get through this however we get through this, you know? So and that's what I just keep on telling myself. Like, I'm at home, but I'm at home because I'm at home to help keep my family healthy, to keep myself healthy. And that doesn't mean that I have to stress myself out. You
Mhm.
know, if it's some sort of endeavor that you thought you would be doing, but it's going to be stressing you out, then maybe it's not worth it. You
Yeah.
know, so we do have to, I think, reevaluate what we thought we were going to be doing in this time, because now we have all this downtime, but it's not necessarily downtime,
Mm-mm.
because a big part of it is our brain is occupied with anxiety and fear, and we're scared and we have grief and we have to process that somehow. So I think we just have to be kinder to ourselves. And
Mhm.
that's all. That's what it comes down to. You know, we have to be kinder to ourselves.
Yeah.
And so if you're not doing all these things, that's okay too. You
Yeah.
know,
I
and if
think.
you are because that's how you cope with it, then that's okay too.
Yep.
Everybody has their own way of doing it, you know, and we just do the best that we can.
Yeah. I think it's just like we just have to let go of the idea that we need to be uber productive and we need to accomplish all these different things because we have this time, and realize that we don't have this time. It's just like it's fleeting, and we're just going through a crisis, and we're going through shock, and we're going through grief, and we just have to just make it work as best as we can.
Exactly.
So
Yes, it's like we're living in an alternate reality. You know what I mean? I feel like none of this is real, but it is, you know? And so we just have to process that. Like you said, sometimes it's minute by minute, you know, and that's okay.
Yeah. So have you discovered any fun deals, classes, or resources or things that you discovered that may help our listeners?
I did join. I had been a member of Audible Escape, and then I did join Audible, just because I didn't have that, and so I think that's nice because sometimes we can't always focus on reading like we were talking about, and sometimes listening to books is a little bit easier. So I did do that, and then I just got an email from like somebody that Kindle Unlimited was going to be free for like a month or two, like a trial. So if readers wanted to try that, they can do that too. I got an email like a week ago, maybe, or 2 weeks ago. I don't remember now. I haven't joined yet, but I think I might do that. And then of course, like, I don't know if you're getting all these emails, but like tons of retailers have sales going on all the time, like Gap and Nordstrom. So I know we're not going to be like wearing these clothes anywhere soon anytime, but a lot of the sales are like good. They're like 60% off, you know, so that's really nice. If you wanted to do a little bit of retail therapy, not sure that a lot of us are in the mood right now, but it's there. And then, like I said, I am a part of a gym, but they're closed, and they do offer a lot of online classes, including like yoga classes. And I just got an email this morning that they put up a lot of like family classes that you can do with your kids if you have kids, or solo if you want to do them solo, which I think will be nice. So maybe I'll try to do like a family yoga class with me and my kids, because they like to just copy whatever I'm doing, and they have fun doing it. We make it a game. It usually ends up we're laughing more than we're actually doing exercise, but that's okay too, right? So I think I might try one of those maybe this week with them. But what about you? Have you discovered any fun deals or classes or anything?
So there's a lot of like for fitness classes. I used to follow a lot of like fitness influencers, and so a lot of the trainers and instructors are putting classes on Instagram Live, and so that's been fun. I'm probably one of those memes is like I'll watch it, but I won't do it. So
yeah,
like I'm like, I don't think I want to do that. Like I dress up, like literally, I dress up for like working out. Like I got my yoga pants on, but I'm like,
I know.
no. But I discovered New York Times cooking, so I've been cooking pretty much most of my meals, and so I discovered New York Times cooking, and so I'm getting recipes. I'm right now searching for yeast and flour. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it. I don't think I'm gonna get it during this time, but I think that will be a project that I want to take on after we get out of this period of time. I want to make my own bread, so I think that will be fun.
Oh yeah, baking bread is so fun. I've been baking bread for probably like 2 years now, and I was scared to bake it at first, but it's really super easy. It's not hard if you have a good recipe, and homemade bread is so delicious. There's nothing like it. It's so good. So what happened with me with the yeast thing is that I didn't even know, but I had bought one of those huge jars of yeast and put it in my freezer. And I didn't even know until I went to bake some yeast the other day, and I was like, oh, look, it's like gold now, right? Because you can't even find it anywhere. So I did have this big old jar of yeast, and I had bought flour a while ago because I'm always baking. I like to bake. And so I have enough for now. I'll probably run out soon, but that's I'm like, thank God I have enough flour and yeast to do stuff, because for me, baking is like a form of stress release. Like I love baking. Like I told you yesterday, we baked those banana, we ended up making muffins instead of a banana bread because it's just funner to make muffins. And so it was nice to just not think about anything but measuring and pouring and baking, so it's fun. But when
I hope when this is over, you get your flour and you get to bake some bread. There's nothing like homemade bread. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm thinking of just, getting a sourdough starter, and I was like, well, I can start doing that. So
Yes.
maybe I'll
I
try
need to do the
sourdough.
sourdough thing.
Yeah, so I think I
I've
might
never
try.
made sourdough.
I heard it's easy. It's just you have to get the
I
starter done.
know.
So
I
so I think
know. That's
I
the
think
thing.
and you don't need yeast for sourdough, so I think I'm gonna try it. I just need to
That's
get
true.
pineapple juice. I think it's like the random thing you just need to get the
Oh.
yeast. Yeah, you get the yeast from the pineapple juice. So the
I'm
starter.
going to look that up. I'm going to
Yeah,
look it up because I love sourdough bread. It's like one of my
yeah,
favorites.
me too.
I'll
So I was
have
like,
to,
maybe
I
I'll
know.
do that. It takes a while because you have to let it sit for a couple of days. It's like a whole, you have to feed the
Yeah,
starter and all those different things. But I think it can be a
I
fun
have read
project.
that before.
I think it can
Yeah,
be a fun
exactly.
project. So I think committing myself in this podcast, and maybe I'll share in a few episodes that if I made the sourdough bread. So
Please do. That would be so awesome.
yeah, so
Let us know your step by step how it goes.
yeah, I will. That's awesome. So Touch, where can we find you online?
So I have my own Instagram, Readaholic19, and then I do have my blog, which is readaholic19.home.blog, and then I'm on Twitter, same handle, Readaholic19, and then also Goodreads too. And you can find all these links if you go on my Instagram, and I have a link tree in there where you can find me. But I'm pretty active, and I'm trying to be more active. Now that I'm home, it was really hard the last few weeks, like we talked about, to post on anything really because my brain was just not there. But I'm trying to be better about it now. So you can find me on all of those places. And if you ever want to, chat about books or recommendations or give me recommendations, I love to chat with everybody about romance. It's just so much fun.
I love it. So thank you, Tash, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Laura.
If you enjoyed this podcast, feel free to share it with friends and share a review on iTunes. This is the best way to support the show. Once you join a romance-loving community, make new friends, and get book recommendations, join our Patreon Romance Book Club. For $5 a month, you'll be part of a virtual book club, an Instagram chat, and get monthly book recommendations. Please note I'll be donating 10% of the profit to a COVID-19 relief fund each month. To sign up, just join the link in the show notes. What to Read Next podcast is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. Find more podcasts you love on frolic.media/podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back in a few days with a brand new episode. Have a great day.